The rumor mill in the NBA world is officially swirling, with us now quickly approaching the exciting part of the offseason. Especially with the way this offseason in particular is set up, every major event in preparation for next season has been smushed back to back, with the draft quickly approaching, the trade market opening before that, free agency following soon after, and then, before you know it, training camp will be getting up and running. Because of this, we should definitely expect to see some massive moves made in the very near future, and as a result, the media have begun to put out plenty of content speculating what might get done. For today's video, we'll be doing something a bit different here on this channel, as we'll actually be looking at a piece put out by Bleacher Report writer Zach Buckley today, and in it, he proposed 5 trades involving big-time players that he believes would be beneficial, so if you want to check out the full thing, I'll link it down below. We'll go through each proposal, and I'll be discussing the likelihood of it happening, what the motivation for each team would be to do the deals, and who would ultimately win the trades if they were to actually happen. Before we get started though, it turns out about 76% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first proposal features the reigning Eastern Conference champs getting a 3rd star to solidify themselves moving forward, and the details are that the Miami Heat receive Victor Oladipo and the Indiana Pacers receive Kendrick Nunn, Andre Iguodala, and Kezi Okpala. A few things about this trade make a ton of sense based solely on the rumors that have been surrounding these two teams for a while now, with one being that Oladipo could possibly want out, and the other being that the Heat will be looking to add a 3rd star to play alongside Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo moving forward. Oladipo is about to play the final year of his contract before being an unrestricted free agent in 2021, and with the struggles he's had with his health over the last 2 years, it would be in the best interest of the Pacers to at least get some value in return for him if he actually does want out. However, I really do think they could do better than this offer in the open market, and other teams I can definitely see beating this offer. Nunn was a pleasant surprise last season and had a very good rookie season overall, showing he can be a capable secondary playmaker and scorer, but as the season went on, he actually started to slow down, and by the time the playoffs came around, his weaknesses on defense combined with his inconsistent production put him on the bench for long periods of time. Iguodala, we all know, has been a winning contributor throughout his entire career, but the reality is that he's 36 years old now, and his value really doesn't add much to the trade in my opinion. If this trade were to actually happen, then it would 100% be a worthy risk to take for the Heat, because Oladipo has proven that at his best, he has two-way star potential, but I feel like Indiana loses here because a streaky young scorer who can't play defense and an aging veteran without any picks included in the trade does not seem like enough value in return for a player of Oladipo's caliber. The next offer in the article features the Denver Nuggets receiving Jrue Holiday while sending Bol Bol, Gary Harris, PJ Dozier, and 2 future first-round picks to the New Orleans Pelicans. News broke a few days ago that the Pelicans would potentially work with Holiday to find a trade for him where he can compete on a contender, and honestly, I really like this proposed move for both sides. The Nuggets showed this postseason that they are ready to compete in the stacked Western Conference right now, and can already put up a fight against anybody. Nikola Jokic is an offensive juggernaut as both a scorer and playmaker. Jamal Murray is starting to come into his own as a top-tier shot creator, but as any contender knows, they could still use a highly impactful third option to form a big 3, and Holiday would be the perfect complement to those two. On top of that, the value that the Pelicans are getting in return for Holiday is actually worth it to accept, because Gary Harris is a phenomenal perimeter defender, Bol Bol has enormous potential with his height and length on both ends of the floor, Dozier is a valuable bench piece that had a few standout performances off the bench in the playoffs this year, and then those 2 first-round picks work as the perfect sweetener to push things over the top. It also fits the timetable of the Pelicans, who have invested fully in their youth for the future, as all 3 of the players included in the trade are age 26 or younger, while Holiday is 30 and he's ready to win now. I think this is a legitimate win-win for both sides, so it would not surprise me at all to see it actually happen. The next proposal features Blake Griffin going to the Golden State Warriors, along with the number 7 pick in this year's draft in return for Andrew Wiggins and the number 2 pick in the draft going to the Detroit Pistons. When it comes to trading up or down in a draft, it really does completely differ from year to year, because some drafts are incredibly top-heavy, with surefire can't-miss prospects, while others have a pool of talent much more balanced, and the talent at the top may not even be that much better than that at the later stages of the first round. And this year, I honestly think the draft falls into the latter of those two categories, with the talent at the top of the draft not necessarily featuring any can't-miss guys worth trading up for. With that being said, the Pistons really have no reason to move up here, especially when they're the ones taking on a much worse player with an equally as bad contract. Andrew Wiggins got paid the max a few years ago with the hope that he could eventually become the star that we all hoped he would, but the reality of the situation is that he's just not that, and he probably never will be. He's a decent scorer who can give you over 20 points per game, but the way he goes about doing so never really impacts winning basketball, and his weaknesses are glaring. Griffin is admittedly coming off of a very down year where he was hampered by injuries, but if he can get back to full strength, then he still holds much more value than Wiggins does. Obviously, acquiring Griffin would be a tremendous success for the Warriors, who are looking to get back into contention this season with a healthy Steph Curry and Klay Thompson coming back, but I just don't think the Pistons have any reason to accept this offer, and if they did, they would be getting fleeced. The next proposal features the Phoenix Suns receiving Chris Paul, and then they send Ricky Rubio and Kelly Oubre to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Chris Paul's days in Oklahoma City seem to be all but over, as he's made it clear that he would like to be moved to a contender, and the Thunder seem to be happy to work with him to get a deal done. The Suns are in an interesting spot, and after the way they played in the bubble, they're going into this season 100% gunning for a playoff spot, and Chris Paul not only fills a positional need for them, but he also brings the perfect amount of leadership, veteran experience, and production to push them to that goal. However, I'm not completely sure the Suns are the kind of team that he wants to go to, as he just spent a year operating as a mentor for some rising stars and pushing them over the top to a playoff berth, and in Phoenix, he would likely be in a similar situation. Additionally, Chris Paul will be a hot commodity this summer, and Ricky Rubio and Kelly Oubre alone just don't seem like enough value to beat out competing offers from other teams, especially without picks involved in the trade. Rubio has 2 years left on his contract, and Oubre only has 1, and while both are very solid players to have in your rotation, especially with Oubre coming into his own last year as a two-way player, I just don't think the Thunder would accept this one. It would be a massive win for the Suns if they pull this off, but the Thunder just don't get equal value in return here for me. And finally, the last proposal in the article featured center Rudy Gobert going to the Boston Celtics along with Ed Davis and Miye Uni, while the Jazz in turn receive Gordon Hayward, Daniel Tice, 2 first-round picks in this year's draft, and another one in 2023. The Celtics were on the verge of a finals berth this past season, and it really seems like they're one big piece in the middle away from taking that next step, and Gobert is honestly the perfect guy to go after to stick there. The rumors are that Hayward wants out of Boston, and with this being the last year of his contract, the Celtics would definitely be smart to try to package him into something big like Gobert. Daniel Tice had a pretty significant breakout year as the team's starting center this year, showing that he can be one of the best defensive centers in the league, but offensively, he's definitely not the force in the paint that Gobert is, and neither likewise on defense either. The best part of the situation that the Celtics are in is that they have 3 first-round picks this year, so they can easily package a few of them in a trade like this one as well. Now, whether or not the Jazz would do this is an entirely different story though, because the package the Celtics offer here, while it is quite substantial, don't get me wrong, but Gobert's a 2-time winner of the Defensive Player of the Year award, and he's been at the heart of so much of the Jazz success that it would be tough for them to let him go. I think if the trade actually happens, it would still be a win for the Celtics, but I can't deny that the package the Jazz would get in return is tough to beat by other teams looking to make a trade. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think of these trade offers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.